Our next doctrinal teaching is on Lucifer. Many have stated and said Lucifer is the devil. A lot of theologians have said that Lucifer the devil, and preachers and teachers. But in my experience since the 70s about the Lord and unto the 21st century, I've seen people cast out devils, and I heard people cast out devils, but I never heard nobody say, come out of Lucifer. So that put a thought in my mind, a question in my mind. Why didn't they say, come out of Lucifer? Well, I'm here to tell you, Lucifer is not the devil, and Satan is not Lucifer. Also, which we're going to find out later on, that he never was up in heaven for God. He never was no angel. Nobody on the earth could show me that. However, I want to discuss today Lucifer. And you know what a plot is, there's only one place in the whole entire Bible the name Lucifer is found. Amen. Only one place Lucifer is found. So let's see where Lucifer come from, who he is, and all about him. Lucifer is not the devil. In Isaiah chapter 14, verse 4, it says, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Now that's one question you want to ask yourself. Who is the king of Babylon? And say, how has the oppressor ceased? How was he an oppressor? And the golden city ceased. What was the golden city? These are three questions you want to ask yourself as we go into the study of Lucifer. All through time, people have said Lucifer was the devil. And the devil was up in heaven. Well, the devil never been up in heaven. Lucifer surely is not the devil. Over in 2 Kings chapter 24, that's where we'll pick up the question. The first question we want to ask, who is the king of Babylon? Because over here it says you should take up the proverb up against the king of Babylon. In chapter 24, 2 Kings chapter 24 verse 1, it states, in his day, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. Well, the first question is answered. Who is the king of Babylon? Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. That's who this proverb is taken up against. Now the second question we want to ask, how was he an oppressor? Okay, it says, in his day, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldeans, band of the Syrians, band of the Moabites, band of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servants the prophets. Surely at the commandment of the Lord came this upon Judah, to remove them out of his sight, for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did. And also for the innocent blood that he shed. For he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiachin, his son, reigned in his stead. And the king of Egypt came not again any more out of his land, for the king of Babylon had taken from the rivers of Egypt unto the rivers of Euphrates all that pertained to the king of Egypt. Now Pharaoh at the time was the king of Egypt. And Nebuchadnezzar had taken even from Pharaoh, and he wasn't no sorry king, but the Lord gave him that kind of power. But let's read on. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nahasta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all his father had done. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it. And Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother and his servants and his princes and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the king of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold, which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had said. And he carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes, and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained, save the poorest sort of the people of the land. And he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the mighty men of the land, mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem unto Babylon, and all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths 1,000, and all that was strong and apt for war, even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon. And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah. And Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 7 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Lebanon. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out of his presence. But Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. Now, we're going to see how he was an oppressor. Chapter 25, verse 1. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 12th month, and the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his host, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it. And they built forts against it round about. And the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And on the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine prevailed in the city. And there was no more bread for the people, of the land. And the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled by night by the way of the gate between two walls, which is by the king's garden. Now the Chaldees were there against the city round about, and the king went the way toward the plain. And the army of the Chaldees pursued after the king, Zedekiah, after the king, and overtook him in the plain of Jericho. And all the army was scattered from him. So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon, to Riblah, and they gave judgment upon him. And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with feathers of brass, and carried him to Babylon. Was he an oppressor? There's the question. And in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which is the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuchadnezzar, captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem. And he burnt the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great man's house burnt he with fire. And all the armies of the Chaldees that were with the captain of the guard break down the walls of Jerusalem round about. Now the rest of the people that were left in the city, and the fugitive of Babylon, and fugitives that fell away to the king of Babylon, with the remnant of the multitude, did Nebuchadnezzar, the captain of the guard, carry away. But the captain of the guard left of the course of the land to the vine dressers and husbands. Now, the question is, how was he an oppressor? That's the question. The question is also, was he an oppressor? Because it's very important that you see he was an oppressor. Because when we get back over to Isaiah, it's going to make a big difference. So the question is, was he an oppressor? Yes, he was an oppressor. He took Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar took Zedekiah, before he put out his eyes, he killed all his sons before him. Then he put out his eyes and took him down to Babylon. And he oppressed the people. But now, back again, Isaiah 14:4. And I'm going to ask a question as we're reading this. Who are they talking about? Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Who is the king of Babylon? Nebuchadnezzar. And say, how has the oppressor ceased? Was he an oppressor? Yes, he was. The golden city ceased. Later on, I'll show you the golden city. Okay? The Lord has broke the scepter of the ruler